What's up, everybody, and welcome back to a special episode of the Bulletproof Dental Practice Podcast. I'm flying solo here, but I wanted to re-release something that was a very pivotal podcast, a short podcast, but a very pivotal podcast for me. And the podcast was actually the introductory audio podcast done by my buddy and the co-host, Dr. Peter Bolden. He did this podcast on October 20th, 2016. He released it. Just a little bit of background for those of you who don't know. Peter and I met, and the reason why Peter's not on this is because it's too woo-woo for him. But Peter and I met on Instagram. Yes, he hit me up. He slid into my DMs, as younger people say. It was August 26th, 2016. That's actually my birthday, August 26th. And the message goes, "Hey, Craig, you don't know me. I have a practice group in Atlanta called Atlanta Dental Spa. I follow your practice. The air is pretty thin up here at the level we do dentistry. I just wanted to introduce myself and let you know if you're ever in ATL, feel free to come by." Funny thing is, when I got that message, I had been following Peter as well. In fact, I had told my marketing company at the time to follow Atlanta Dental Spa because they had a unique way of marketing. And I love the way their practices looked from afar and the way they were styled and the way the patients experienced it. And I said, this is a badass in dentistry. And I want to model this practitioner, this business owner. And so we did. We're following each other from afar, and I want to give acknowledgement to Peter because he took the first step to collaborate. At that point, this is 5 years ago. It was just to kind of get together and share ideas and share practice philosophies and how we can learn from each other. And then basically 2 months later, October 20th, he does his first podcast episode. And I remember the exact place I was listening to it. But he talked about a bunch of things. He said that the idea behind Bulletproof is to be authentic, to check your ego, to add value to each other's life. And he said because of podcasts, he had become a better dentist, a better father, a better friend, a better person on a personal level. And when I heard that, it was only, you're going to hear in a minute, it's only, a couple minute intro, less than 10-minute intro, but it just lit me up because at the time I was doing a variety of lecturing for different companies. And I remember flying to different parts of the country, and it wasn't an efficient use of my time. I'm dedicated to transform our profession, to help our profession in any way possible. So for me, getting on a plane to meet, 5 or 10 people and help inspire or help them in their own dental journey was worth it. But this whole idea that there could be a podcast and that we could reach so many more people in a more efficient manner, I could still be with my family and get the message out, was just mind-boggling to me. But I want to acknowledge Peter in many ways. But today I want to acknowledge Peter for being a leader and always going ahead and charging ahead. What is great about Peter Bolden is that he will find a way to get something done. And as Peter and I have been together as partners in the podcast for 5 years, and we've grown. We've written a book together. We've held 5 different dental summits. It's amazing to think what's been accomplished in 5 years. But what the magic is that we have complementing skill sets. I've got big ideas. He's got raw execution power. So when you find people in your world that complement what you do, build with those people. If you find people that you connect with because they're exactly like you, that is not going to be as efficient. So look for people to complement you. And that's what Peter does for me. And I'm super grateful for his charge ahead, his persistence, his grit for getting this done, because through this vehicle, we've been able to connect with so many people and frankly, fulfill our own needs to help inspire and better the profession, but also add value to everybody here. So I'm proud to re-release this introduction. It is more on point and more, it's more encapsulating of what we're trying to do now than ever. So please enjoy this. And of course, if you like it, if it inspires you, if what we're doing is helping you in any small way, please drop a comment, drop a like, drop a review. Let's spread this message. Dentistry is a lonely place. We're all solving the same problems, just independently. Together, we can go further, and together we can be bulletproof. Thanks for listening. Enjoy this from Peter.
Hi, everyone. I'm your host, Dr. Peter Bolden, and I'm the owner of a practice called Atlanta Dental Spa. It's a scratch fee-for-service practice with 2 locations, started in 2005. It is currently in the top 1% of dental practices nationwide. Now, I don't say this to brag, only to let you know that I have the chops to discuss and contribute to the subjects on this podcast. I also own a PPO insurance-based practice as an owner, not a practicing dentist there at that location, but it's in a rural town about 2 hours away from Atlanta. So having both a fee-for-service practice and a PPO practice has given me the experience and knowledge to develop unique systems and marketing for both. Additionally, it's allowed me to relate to both types of practices when I do consulting or lecture. And as we know, there are definitely variations of both types of practices. Years ago, when I started my practice, I knew I wanted to be successful, right? Like, who doesn't start off wanting to be successful? But I knew that in the growth that I wanted to experience in my career, I had to become an expert in marketing, something obviously that was never taught in dental school, not to mention any other business aspect. But I knew I had to become an expert in marketing offline and online. I knew I had to become an expert in systems and checklist development. I knew I had to be an expert in the culture creation and how to maintain that. And also, I wanted to become clinically excellent in order to back all of this up. So systems are pretty cool in that they're always evolving, but I love that about them. It's not a set it and forget it situation. We need to modify them based on kind of what we're experiencing in our day-to-day operations as a dentist. I love dentistry. I'm super passionate about the business of dentistry. I love discussing these subjects with fellow dentists and other masters in this arena. So as the E-Myth goes, working on your business is just as important as working in your business. And that's something that I want to dive into. That methodology is something I want to dive into more here on the Bulletproof Dental Practice podcast. So speaking of that, what's up with the name? Well, I truly believe that you can insulate and protect your practice, i.e. bulletproof, through the marketing and systems that you develop. We all remember the Great Recession, 2009. I know I do. It's pretty dang rough. But there are ways to protect your practice from the next eventual downturn. As a whole, dentistry is not super competitive. I know we sometimes think it is as we look around and see a dentist on every corner, but it's really not, in that there's really a barrier to entry, right? Like, you have to be a dentist in order to own a practice. At least that's how the regulations are put. And I know DSOs and other groups have kind of gotten around that recently, but for the most part, there's still a pretty good chance of success. Most dentists have kind of built their practice or grown their practice through word of mouth. And it's an awesome way, the most cost-effective way. It's tried and true, but let's be honest, sometimes it can be a much slower growth curve than anything else, because the success of your practice is predicated on how motivated someone is to kind of recommend you. So the systems and the marketing can help accelerate that growth curve for you. So let's talk about who this podcast is for. Really, it's for any dentist who is committed to learning, any dentist who wants to grow or maintain their practice in this newly digital and social world, any dentist who is inspired by the successes and the stories of others, and the format I really want to keep on this podcast is relaxed and authentic. I want people to check their egos at the door. Podcasting has helped me so much in my personal and professional world that I wanted to add the value back into that system. I listen to podcasts about 10 hours a week, typically in the car and commutes, and I get a tremendous amount of value. And I feel like I'm using that dead time in order to make myself better, whether that's a better dentist, better husband, better father, better friend, better me personally. And what I found interesting about podcasting is that, you have all these successful people in different arenas, whether it's in dentistry, let's just say for a dental podcast, or, personal development or whatever it is. And you have all these experts, authors of New York Times bestsellers, just disclosing their methods and what they've learned, a lifetime of learning online, almost like a cookbook of how they did it. And it's really up to us to consume this knowledge and then execute that. So I'm looking forward to adding value to your life, and we'll see you next time.